everyone, and welcome back to the garage, or not the garage. This is actually a camper van. This is Lucy's camper van, and it's been having some running issues, so we're going to investigate that. This is a 2-litre Renault Trafic. What year is this?
2009.
2009 Renault Trafic 2-litre diesel. So we've done a little bit of research and sort of come to the conclusion that we might need to look at the EGR valve and or the EGR cooler. So today's job is to get to those basically, and to do that we've got to remove more or less the entire front end of the vehicle. Thank you Renault for that wonderful design. So we're just going to get straight on with this and see how far we get before we get bored. Alright, let's go, let's do this, let's go!
Let's go! Let's go!
Okay then, so first step is to remove the grille, and there are 3 fixings on that. They were originally T30 Torx bits, but we've replaced these in the past with just some normal bolts. But anyway, there's 3 along the front there, so that's the first one that Lucy's got. There's one in the middle and one at this end, so we're just going to remove those first. With those top 3 out then, there are 2 more fixings in this section of the grille, one at either side. We've still got a T30 on these, so we're just using the Torx bit to get rid of those 2. Moving round to the side of the van then, you can sort of get a screwdriver in there. There's just a little hole, and what we're going to do is we're going to prise that edge away off this side of the grille. It's just clipped in. So there's that side, and we do the same on the other side. So that's all the fixings out of the grille, and it should just pull away from the front of the van. On this van then, there's just a piece of plastic that just lifts out. I don't know if yours will be clipped in or screwed in. This isn't, and doesn't appear to have anywhere to be screwed in, so that should just pull out like that. Now we're going to remove the bumper, and that's attached in various places. So there are a couple of bolts here inside the wheel arches on this edge. There's a fixing just there on the sort of outer side of that panel. You've got a couple of bolts in the middle of the bumper. There's one behind the license plate there, and then obviously the matching ones on the other side. Right then, so with all the fixings out, that bumper should just pull straight off like that. Next up then is yet another plastic piece, and there are 4 fixings on that. I can see from here. Hi dog. There's one, let's have a look, just there, and there's one, and then obviously the matching ones on the other end. Next to come off then is the headlight on this side, just where Lucy's unscrewing that there. That's a 10mm bolt. There's another one on top of the light and one on the this side, the engine side. You can't really miss those. So the headlight should just pull straight out now, and there are some wires on the back of that which are easy enough to just disconnect. So just disconnect everything, and then the entire headlight unit can be moved out of the way. So it's just the same process on the other side. So with the headlight out of the way, we're going to remove this bit of plastic here now. We've had this off before, so we've got 2 fixings on this edge here, which are 10mm fittings on this van, but originally they were some kind of like crazy plastic push fit thing, and we couldn't figure out the best way to get those off, so we ended up having to break them and then replace them with the 10mm. So anyway, there's 2 fixings along that edge there, and there's another one up here, about there I think. And then depending on the model of van, there might be another one on a bracket here. Fixings out the way then, and that bit of plastic should just pull out in the same way as everything else has done so far. Should do. Come on Lucy. Go on Lucy. Let it have it. There she goes, she's got it. Do you know? Can't get the staff, just can't get the staff. We got that side off then, so now we're moving over to this side. And at this point, I'm just going to ask you guys a question. Down here on this corner of the van, which we've just unearthed, you can see the horn, which is here, and then some cabling coming down, and there's just a plug, and it doesn't go anywhere. and it doesn't appear to go anywhere, and I'm not entirely sure what that's for. So if anybody watching this knows what that plug is for, please let us know. Leave a comment down below. Moving on then, we're just removing this bracing piece from the crash bar at the front. Now we need to remove this black panel that runs all the way across the front here. Is that a scuttle panel? I don't know. Anyway, that's what we're removing. Obviously that is supporting the bonnet strut, so what we're going to have to do is tie the bonnet up first. There we go then, that's the bonnet tied up. So in theory, we should be able to let go of that and it won't hit Lucy on the head. Job's a good one. We need to remove this front panel now then, but there are some things on the inside that are attached to the back of that panel, so we need to do some detaching first. So coming inside then, we've got this frame that the airbox sits on. There's a fixing there and there. Again, these have been replaced. The originals I think were T30s. And there is the intercooler, which you cannot see down the back there. That is attached, but what we're going to have to do is remove the pipes for that. So we've got one, if I can get down in here, let's try and show you this. This is the intercooler, and we're going to remove this hose here, and then coming back along this side to the other side of the intercooler, there's this pipe here which we're going to slacken off this and remove that. And then we've got this reservoir which just should lift out like that and can just be placed somewhere out of the way. And I think that might be it, but we'll tell you if we find anything else. Right, we did find one more thing, which was just here. There's a 10mm bolt there which holds on this bonnet open sensor thing or whatever that is. So if you just remove that 10mm and then that'll just push out from behind. Then we're going to get on with removing the entire panel itself. So for that we've got some fixings down at the side. So there's one and there's another one. They're 13mm. They match on the other side of the van as well. And then just here there's a 10mm bolt just there. Moving along, there's another 10mm bolt just there, and then I think that might be it. So we'll get to removing those. There was one more thing we needed to remove, and that is the latch for the bonnet release. That has to be in a certain position, otherwise your bonnet won't release properly. So what we've done is we've just used a screwdriver and just basically gouged around the outside of that, so we know that we can put it back in exactly the right place, assuming of course that your bonnet release works in the first place. So in theory then, with all of those things removed, it should just pull straight outwards like that. Just be careful, there might be some stuff attached at the back. What you got, Lucy? Oh, hang fire people.
Cable.
Right, that cable is the bonnet release cable, which we thought might just come out, but it is behind the intercooler. So we are presently removing the intercooler, which is just held on with two bolts, again 10mm heads on them. They are quite long. So we're going to remove that out of the way, then that cable should come out, and then I promise you we're going to move this front panel out of the way. There we are then, I promised you, didn't I? So here we are then, we can actually start to see the engine a little bit, but we are not done yet. There is more to come off. Again, thank you Renault, awesome. I do understand that the 1.9 litre version of this is significantly easier to get to the EGR. This is, as I mentioned, the 2 litre, which is a right royal pain in the arse. Anyway, things start to get a little bit dirtier from here. There's a lot of like oily bits and carbony bits and just generally grimy bits, so we are going to glove up. Those of a long haired disposition might wish to put their hair up too. Anyway, there's some little plastic bits just clinging on either side of the radiator, and they just slide upwards. They're not held on with anything other than just bits of plastic, so they should just slide straight upwards. They should slide straight upwards. They should just slide straight upwards. It's just upwards.
They don't slide straight upwards. They slide straight upwards, John.
So there we are, just slide those straight upwards and they should come off. Okie dokie, what we need to do now then is remove the radiator thing here. I think there's an aircon radiator at the front and then the actual radiator behind it. To do that again just slides upwards, but it is fixed at the bottom, so we've got some stuff to release first. It's held in at the bottom with a couple of split pins, which are way down at the bottom here underneath a piece of plastic. So we need to remove that piece of plastic, and if I remember from last time, that's got some stupid security bolts of some kind on it, so let's investigate that. Yep, I was right. So they are some kind of weird security screws, and I'm using this thing, which is a 4mm hex as normal, but it's got the little dimple in the end there, and I'll show you why we need that in a second. So there's the screw I've just taken out, and you can see it's got a sort of protruding piece in the middle of that. Lord knows why they've got that. I mean, who's going to go down there and try and steal that, for God's sake? Anyway, thanks again, Renault. You will need this special little security bit here. There we are then, put Lucy to work. There's one in the middle. I just took the one on the right out, and then there's a far one on the left hand side. So there's 3 of those in there, and then the piece of plastic should drop down and be moved out of the way. So Lucy's just rooting around there and told me that there's another one at the back, so that makes 4, and there should be another one at the back on the right hand side, but that's snapped and that's why that's come off. So we've got 4, you've probably got 5. So with that random bit of plastic removed, we now need to find the split pins that are holding the radiator in, and they are right under here. So just fished out those split pins, so the radiator should now slide straight up. And I'll see if I can do it myself. Hold on! So all I've done there is just lifted the radiator out of its little socket, retaining socket things, and just moved it forward towards the front of the van slightly. And the only reason I've done that is to give us a little bit more access room to get to the EGR valve. And you could take the whole radiator off and you'd have to drop the coolant and put new coolant in and all the rest of it. So we're taking a lazy option and just moving it out of the way slightly. Now we've done that, then we can actually see the EGR, which is taking some getting to. And the EGR is this thing just here, which we're going to attempt to remove. Now, we have done this before on this van, and it is a complete and utter nightmare. Even at this point, like we've taken the entire front of the van off, it's still hard to get this off. And I suspect this is why most people don't bother doing this. So, this is a good opportunity to have a cup of tea, and we'll join you again in a sec. Right then, let's let the fun resume. To get the EGR off, we're going to have to remove some more pipes, namely this one here at the other end, and this one here, which is for the oil filler. We're going to take those off, which gives us a bit more access. We're also going to remove this bracket here, and see what else needs to be done after that. So let's crack on. With that bracket and all the rest of it out of the way, then we've got an electrical connection here which just clips off, and another one here which again just clips off. Just move those out of the way and make sure you're not going to get them tangled up anywhere. This is where it gets interesting then, because we need to remove this EGR unit here, and it's held on in various places. At the back end here you can see there's a fixing there, there's a bolt there, and there's one down the bottom, and they're not too bad to get to. Moving over to this side, just here and here is a bracket which connects onto the EGR. It's easier, I think, to remove these two and take out the bracket with the EGR than try and start detaching it at this point. Once we've got those off, the only thing holding it on will be its connection to this metal pipe here. Now this is hard to undo, and it's because there's just no access anywhere to. This one's fine, the one at the back is quite tricky to get to. If you go at this end, again it's an access problem. Trying to get the right tools in there to remove those is a bit difficult, but there's no other way to do it. You just have to crack on and find a way. So we'll do that now, and we'll see how we managed to do that. I can't actually remember how we did it last time.
Little fingers.
Little fingers, she says. So I'm starting with the hardest ones first, which are the ones at the bottom of this kinky pipe. Let's call it a kinky pipe, shall we? I've managed to get a 10mm ratchet spanner on there, and get just about enough force in there to actually start to loosen those off. So I'm going to take those the whole way out and then move on to some of the slightly easier ones. Well, there's the first one out then, and look, ruined my bloody glove. What a nightmare. So I've more or less got the top one out, but it's right on the last few threads, and this is precisely the problem with this van, is that my hands do not fit into any of these spaces. So it's going to require some smaller hands than I have. And again, it's a bit frustrating. I'll say it again, thank you very much, Renault. I think they didn't design this van for anybody other than the mechanics to work on. Who knows? I don't even think their mechanics would want to work on this. It's been designed for other reasons, shall we say. Look, some smaller hands have arrived. Let's see if they can do any better.
Yay.
There we go. So that did come out. And that is going to be a proper ball ache to get back in, I guarantee it. Anyway, moving on. Okay, we are now going to remove these two here, this one and this one. This video needs a snappy title like "Girl Fixes Van" or something. It's sure to get like 700 million views. Cynical? Did you just call me cynical? Not me. Time to take the three out at the back then. So there's one, there's two, and there's one at the bottom. And as is standard with this van, the access is absolutely terrible to the one at the bottom. So that's going to be a bit of a pain, but those are the three you need to remove, and then the EGR valve should come out. So while Lucy removes those bolts, I think it's a good opportunity for you guys to have a think about what might be a snappy van life title for this video that's going to help us get to 700 bazillion views. Yeah, leave a comment below with your catchy clickbait titles. So I've just removed the 3 bolts on this side of the EGR, and that should be everything that's holding it in, so it should now come out. It's just going to be a case of wiggling it out of the available space as best you can. Remember, it's got the kinky pipe, as we called it, attached, so that should come out all in one. Well, there we are. After many hours of fannying about, we've got that off. So the kinky pipe can come off now. You've got better access to those bolts now that the whole thing's off, and you can clean the inside of that pipe, because that does get full of carbon and crap like that. And then the EGR valve, you can see down inside it there's like a butterfly valve, and on the other side there's some kind of like sensory business and some kind of a opening gate there. So it's just a case of cleaning all around that. We did do this a few weeks ago, so this has been done recently, so this is only a few weeks worth. But when it came off last time, it did have quite a lot of carbon in there, and we used, what did we use? We used carb cleaner, I believe, to clean that up. Just note there is a little gasket there. Is there one on the other side? No, but there is one in between the kinky pipe and the EGR.
Kinky.
Kinky. With that EGR off then, it's just a case of cleaning it, and I mentioned that we'd done this before. We used carburetor cleaner and an old toothbrush, and we get all around in here, any carbon. This little section here, all in there, that was pretty full with carbon, so we got rid of all that. Took the kinky pipe off and cleaned that out. Making note of a gasket just on this edge here, and in between the pipe and the EGR valve here, and then obviously the gasket that I've just pointed to there. And once it's all clean, it's a case of sticking it back on the van. So putting all that back together on your van is just the reversal of how you removed it. Just take your time, make sure you've got no bolts left at the end. There's nothing really to look out for, just work backwards until your van looks like it's in one piece again. We did this job on this van to try and cure some running issues, which is it has no power going up hills, and sometimes it will sort of jolt and you get a little flicker of a warning light on the dashboard. We did this job a couple of weeks ago and we've been driving around in it since, and it hasn't cured that. So if anybody's got any other suggestions for what that might be, leave a comment below. It seems like these vans are very prone to running issues, sensor issues, fueling issues, and yeah, my recommendation would be don't buy a 2-litre Renault Trafic diesel unless you like finding a bottomless pit of problems. Hopefully, though, the video was helpful for you, and I really sincerely hope that in cleaning your EGR you have fixed whatever issues you were having in the first place. Hopefully that might have saved you a little bit of money down the garage as well, so if it has, remember that you can buy us a brew, make a little donation. It all goes a long way to buying cups of tea and biscuits that keep fueling these videos and this channel. And I think that's the end. We may as well call that the end. I'm just waffling on now, and I'm sure that's enough. So as ever, leave a comment, let us know how you get on, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, the subscribe, Facebook, stickers, all the rest of it. It's all down in the description below. So I'll say goodbye from me and goodbye from her.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.